test de son. Pardon? Good afternoon. Bon après-midi. Before I begin, I would like to recognize the Algonquin Nation on whose traditional territory we are now gathering. Today, I am happy to share that we have made significant progress in addressing an issue that is close to the hearts of many Canadians, our promise to protect Canadians from conversion therapy. La thérapie de conversion est une pratique dévastatrice qui est extrêmement nuisible pour ceux qui la subissent. Les mineurs, en particulier, en subissent les effets néfastes et ceux-ci continuent souvent à l'âge adulte. La recherche démontre que les jeunes sont plus à risque de dépression et de suicide à la suite des efforts déployés pour les guérir de leur orientation sexuelle ou de leur identité de genre. La thérapie de conversion est fondée sur un mensonge qu'être homosexuel, lesbienne, bisexuel ou trans est mal et nous devons le réparer. Non seulement c'est faux, mais cela envoie un message dégradant qui mine la dignité des personnes de la communauté LGBTQ2. Contrairement à ce que certains pourraient dire, il n'y a pas de bien ou de mal quand il s'agit de qui vous êtes ou de qui vous aimez. Conversion therapy is premised on a lie, that being homosexual, lesbian, bisexual, or trans is wrong and in need of fixing. Not only is that false, it sends a demeaning and a degrading message that undermines the dignity of individuals and the LGBTQ2 community as a whole. Contrary to what some might say, there is no right or wrong when it comes to who you are or who you love. Conversion therapy has been discredited and denounced by professional and health associations in Canada and in the United States and around the world. It has no basis in science or healthcare practices. Rather, its devastating effects have been felt time and time again by those who have undergone it. In 2020, many believe that this practice is a relic of the past, something that could no longer be happening in our communities. Sadly, this is not the case. Even today, there are groups operating across the country, providing services in an effort to correct or fix those who they deem out of step with their narrow views of how one should be or how one should act. Au cours des dernières semaines, nous avons entendu les témoignages de plusieurs victimes des thérapies de conversion. Ce n'est pas facile de prendre la parole et dénoncer publiquement ces pratiques dévastatrices. Merci donc à Matt, à Erica, à Victor, à Jonathan, à Gabrielle et tous les autres. Today is about the survivors and their stories. Canadians like Matt, Erica, Victor, Jonathan, Gabrielle, and too many others who have undergone conversion therapy and have had to live with the harmful effects. Today, the federal government is stepping up to do our part to make sure that no one else has to face what they have gone through. Today, along with my colleague, the Honourable Bardish Chagger, Minister of Diversity, Inclusion and Youth, I am proud to announce what we as a federal government are doing to end conversion therapy in Canada. In support of this commitment, I just introduced a bill that proposes creating 5 new criminal code offences targeting conversion therapy. These proposed offences would prohibit, first, causing a minor to undergo conversion therapy. Second, removing a minor from Canada to undergo conversion therapy abroad. Third, causing a person to undergo conversion therapy against their will. Fourth, profiting from providing conversion therapy. And fifth, advertising the provision of conversion therapy. If passed, this bill will make Canada's laws on conversion therapy the most progressive and comprehensive in the world. Si ce projet de loi est adopté, les lois canadiennes sur la thérapie de conversion seraient les plus progressistes au monde. Il est important que nous soyons parfaitement clairs. Il y a une différence entre demander à quelqu'un qui il est et dire à quelqu'un qu'il a tort et qu'il a besoin d'être réparé. Les infractions proposées ne criminaliseraient pas les conversations qui visent à explorer l'identité de quelqu'un. Elles ne rendraient pas illégal le fait de fournir un soutien aux personnes qui en ont besoin ou qui se questionnent sur leur orientation sexuelle ou leur identité de genre. It is important that we are clear. There is a difference between asking someone who they are and telling someone that who they are is wrong and in need of fixing. Supportive teachers, school counselors, pastoral counselors, faith leaders, doctors, mental health professionals, friends, or family members need not fear engaging in important discussions about someone's identity, discussions which are often critical to personal development. What is being targeted here are those who are actively working and providing services designed to change someone's identity, based on preconceived notions of how someone ought to be or ought to behave. Criminal law is an important tool to target behavior that is reprehensible and harmful to others. It creates consequences for those who would continue this work in spite of the clear data, which shows how devastating the practice truly is. Today's announcement represents important progress toward ending conversion therapy in Canada and reflects a strong balance between progressive policy and constitutional considerations. Plusieurs provinces, comme l'Ontario, la Nouvelle-Écosse, le Manitoba et l'île de Prince-Édouard, ont déjà interdit aux professionnels de la santé d'offrir des thérapies de conversion aux mineurs, et le Yukon s'est engagé à agir. Un nombre croissant des municipalités de l'Alberta et ailleurs au pays ont également pris des mesures pour mettre fin à la thérapie de conversion. Je les félicite de leur leadership et je les remercie de leurs efforts. Nous continuerons de travailler en étroite collaboration avec les provinces, les territoires, les municipalités et les collectivités touchées afin que nous puissions apprendre les uns des autres et unir nos efforts pour éliminer cette pratique nuisible dans l'ensemble de nos administrations. Canada is a country where everyone, regardless of their gender expression, gender identity, or sexual orientation, can live in equality and freedom. That's the legacy I want to leave for all of our children and our grandchildren. Our hope is that all parliamentarians will support this important piece of legislation. I would now like to turn the microphone over to Erica Muse. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
Hi, my name is Erica. I am a survivor of conversion therapy. I want to thank Minister Chagger and Lametti for bringing me here and to the Community-Based Research Center for making it possible for me to be here. I just read this bill, and I had a speech prepared, and I'm not going to give it. When I went through conversion therapy, what I went through was government-sponsored. It was done in the public health system. It was done through the Centre for Addiction and Mental Health in Toronto. It was required to access transition services in Ontario at that time as a youth. My conversion therapy was not just detrimental talk therapy. It was the continual systemic denial of medical affirmations to my gender. My body is a prison because of what my conversion therapist did to me. And I live with that every day. And I don't know if I can truly say that this bill would stop what he did to me. It would stop what happened to so many other people who had conversion therapy happen to them. But I don't know if it would stop what happened to me. And when we talk about queer diversity, we sort of say that not one answer fits all questions. And I don't know if this would help me as a trans person. I don't know if it's enough. I can't say that this is what I need and what Canadians need to make sure no one else is hurt like me. I can't say that this is a ban that would make me safe. And I hope that it changes. I hope that it does well. I hope that it moves on. But It's not going to make me better. It's not going to help the people like me. It's not going to do that. And I hope that it goes forward from that.
Good afternoon, everyone. Before I tell you who I am, I need to give some acknowledgements. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for these people. Thank you, Chris Gudgeon, for It Gets Better Canada, for listening to my story a few years ago. It is a difficult story to hear, and you embraced me with open arms. You also helped me with my first interview. To the movie Boy Erased, for how this all started for me. I cannot believe that movie made a big impact in my life the way that it did. Thank you to the Community-Based Research Center for allowing us to be here and to make survivor support as a priority. I will never forget the work that you have done for us survivors, and it's truly an honor to call you friends. Thank you, BC's Center for Disease Control Foundation, for understanding how survivor supports plays a big role in this fight. It's one thing to do readings for bills to protect future generations with new legislation, but people that have been subjected to conversion therapy already will need to feel supported too. Lastly, thank you for all the team for No Conversion Canada for assisting me with this vision. My name is Matt Ashcroft, and I am a conversion therapy survivor from Belleville, Ontario. Before I started this, I felt directionless. I just came out of conversion therapy feeling like I have left my family. They told me to trust them, and they were my brothers. My life was very consumed with spending time to change something that I thought was broken, my sexuality. I was forbidden to speak against them or say anything that was contradictory to what they believed in. Because of this, I felt alone. Even when I left, I did not know what to do. I felt lost and nobody knew what I was talking about. Conversion therapy almost drove me to my death. It Gets Better Canada gave me my start. I had an opportunity to work with my heroes, meet people all across the Canada and United States, and have a coalition of people that want to bring equity to queer and trans people. To the people that are still on the inside of the camp, I know that you said mean things about me. I love you and I forgive you. To the Canadians that still believe that conversion therapy works for them, I leave my information open to all of you always. To the Canadians that want to get out of conversion therapy, it gets better. It got better for me and countless of other Canadians that are in this movement. As for me today, I'm not okay. I'm sad that it must go this far to tell people that I am being harmed. I'm sad that I lost my friends. I'm sad that I'll never be able to speak to them again because they believe that this is right. There is nothing wrong with being queer or trans because we are diverse, lovely, kind, respectful, fun, and now free. I close with a quote from my best friend, Adam Trimmer, who is responsible for ending conversion therapy in Virginia for minors, and state number 20. Nobody should go through therapy because of therapy. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Randall Garrison. I'm here this afternoon as the NDP critic for sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression. Let me start by saying I'm very happy to see that the government has advanced this bill quickly, and we will work with them to make sure it achieves the goal of being the most comprehensive bill banning conversion therapy in the world. It's an important bill for two reasons. One, it acknowledges that no one from my community needs fixing. That seems obvious to state, but many people do not believe that. So this sends a very clear signal from Canadian society that no one needs fixing. The second part is it acknowledges the harm that's done when there's an attempt to alter someone's sexual orientation, their gender identity, or their gender expression. This leads to depression, social isolation, and often to self-harm. So it's important that this bill move forward quickly, and we're pledging today to work with the government, as I said, to make sure it's the most comprehensive and that it moves expeditiously through this Parliament. I want to salute the survivors who came here today to tell their stories. I don't think any of us can appreciate how difficult that is, but people from my community know that we've never gotten anything without struggle, and we've never gotten anything if we don't stand up and speak for ourselves. So I thank those survivors once again. We'll take a look at the details. We've only had it a few minutes. I support the government's goal of having the most comprehensive ban possible, and we'll be working on that with the government. Thank you.
So just before we take questions, I really also want to take a moment to really commend Erica and Matt for sharing their stories. This is what it's about. This is about people. It's really ensuring that every individual can be who they truly are. And this is another step of actually building that truly inclusive Canada that we all talk about. What's clear is that we have more work to do. What's clear is that not every Canadian can be who they are because of practices like this, and that's why it's so important that it be banned. We're looking forward to working with all parties to ensure that we're building a more inclusive Canada, to ensure that we do not have this destructive practice in our country. And I really do want to commend all of the teams that have come together to ensure that we were able to introduce legislation today. We look forward to the debate, we look forward to the conversation, and I can assure all Canadians our work is not done. We will continue working with each and every single one of you to ensure that your voices are being heard and that our government continues to respond. Thank you so much, and Minister Lametti and I will take questions.
Monsieur Lametti, corrigez-moi si je me trompe, mais votre projet de loi interdit ça pour les mineurs, mais pour les adultes, les thérapies restent légales si elles ne sont pas rémunérées, correct?
S'il n'y a pas la pression, donc ça s'applique à tout le monde. Donc, si quelqu'un est forcé contre son gré, même s'il est adulte, c'est contre la loi. La publicité et le paiement pour les services. Donc, il y a trois offenses criminelles qui seront ajoutées au code criminel, et ça devrait couvrir une bonne partie des situations touchant les adultes.
Mais alors pourquoi avoir quand même maintenu le droit d'avoir encore des thérapies pour peu qu'elles ne soient pas publicisées et rémunérées? Bon, quelle était la raison qui vous amène à ne pas les interdire?
C'est difficile à interdire la pratique pour un adulte compétent qui veut le faire lui-même. Et donc, ça pourrait aller contre la charte. Mais on peut criminaliser toutes les activités autour de tout ça. Et donc, on protège la décision individuelle. Mais les autres personnes qui travaillent dans le domaine sont interdits effectivement de travailler dans le domaine pour l'argent.
How will you tell whether, for an adult, whether it's against their will? For example, if parents are talking to a 19-year-old and are urging their child to undergo conversion therapy, how will you be able to tell?
Well, the law does this as an evidentiary matter in a number of different areas. If that couldn't be proven, there are so many things legally that couldn't be proven in the criminal code. That's a question of evidence.
And what about the constitutional right to freedom of expression? Why would you say that the ban on advertising is constitutional and not a violation of free speech?
Because because the devastating impact that it has on individuals, and it is compensated. The fact that it has such a devastating impact is more important in this particular case than the ability of the person to offer services or to advertise services. As a counterexample, if the person is deciding himself or herself for the therapy as a competent adult without pressure, then we feel the balance might go the other way. So we're not.
What is advertising?
We banned it for 5 years in Ontario, and we have not come up against that kind of problem. So we banned it for.
Can you come to the mic, please? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to let Reverend Genova?
Oh, yeah, sure.
No, I'm just going to say, so Reverend Dr. Sherry DeNovo, it was my bill in Ontario that banned it in 2015, banned it for minors, and very similar to this, didn't criminalize it, but it delisted it from our healthcare plan for adults. So we've been living with that for 5 years, and I can tell you that really now it's getting the news out that children are protected. What this bill does, which I applaud, is it spreads that good work across the nation from coast to coast to coast, and I think that's extremely important. It also sends out a much stronger message under the criminal code that this is detrimental. We're talking about the suicide of children. We know that LGBTQ2+ children commit suicide at a far higher rate than straight children. So it's about saving children's lives. That's what this bill is about. Thank you.
And have you done a charter analysis? Usually you do.
Yes, and that will be made public in due course.
In terms of the exemption, so religious leaders, for example, some of them condemn homosexuality. Is that still legal? Does that change anything?
A legitimate conversation with an open end in helping someone to explore their sexuality. Those kinds of conversations are absolutely necessary as people move forward in life. Whether it's a guidance counselor, whether it's a religious leader, whether it's a parent, I'm a parent. If it's open-ended and it is exploratory, then it is not covered by this legislation. What is covered by this legislation are practices that attempt to change one's sexual orientation towards a predefined goal.
And so on issues of transgender or gender dysphoria, so what about clinic?
It does not cover that.
No, and so those who say let's wait and see, or who kind of argue for patients, for younger patients, is that allowed?
That's a different discussion. That's not touched by this act. Those kinds of medical determinations between doctor and patient are not covered by this act. That's a different process. Oui. Nous allons voir. Il y avait dans des consultations informelles de l'appui à travers la Chambre des communes, mais on verra avec les autres parties avec le temps.
Et on a posé la question à Arnold Pearson, qui, je vais le citer en anglais, mais il dit, "It shouldn't create a wedge between parents and their children." Qu'est-ce que vous lui répondez?
This does not create a wedge between parents and their children. This, in fact, again, open-ended discussions between parents and their children are critical for children who are exploring their sexuality or their identity or their gender expression. Those are absolutely critical, and they're not touched by this legislation. What is touched by this legislation are practices that try to change to a defined result.
Minister, how enforceable is the last part about sending kids abroad? Is there enough resources for this? Is there enough case law to sort of end that practice? Or?
Well, crossing the border with a minor will be for the purposes of conversion therapy, will be a criminal offense. And again, that's an enforcement question. That's for the police and the CBSA to enforce.
What tells you there's enough in this bill to actually stop that practice of putting a kid on a flight somewhere?
Again, those are enforcement questions. They wouldn't appear in the criminal law anywhere for any other kind of offense either. Those are enforcement questions.
Les peines, quelles sont les peines pour chacun?
On peut vous les donner, c'est différent dans chaque cas.
What is advertising?
The conversation, say, between parents and their children is supportive, or even with friends or school counselors, that they might not be saying to them, "I'm going to disown you unless you."
Well, again, that would be a question of evidence, whether that's pressure or not, or whether that's forcing or not, or whether the person's 18 or 19, and those are all matters that our police services, our courts, other support groups are adept at finding, and the experience in Ontario, as Reverend Sherry DeNovo has just said, has been positive in that regard.
What is
Step back and answer your first question in English. Why isn't this being made illegal for adults?
What we're doing is we're criminalizing the activity with respect to minors across the board, and crossing a border with minors. With respect to adults, we are criminalizing where there has been coercion. So the person is not making the decision necessarily of their own free will, and also criminalizing the activity around what might happen for everybody. So advertising for services or payment for services. we felt that a competent adult could conceivably defend the right in a court to consent to this kind of activity, and we felt that we couldn't move ahead with that in that case scenario simply because of the Charter of Rights.
Ça nous donne l'impression que c'est beaucoup plus facile à dire qu'à faire. Vous parlez depuis tout à l'heure de la preuve à monter. Est-ce que vraiment on s'attend à ce qu'il y ait des condamnations avec ce projet de loi-là, ou c'est plus un message que vous voulez envoyer?
Mais c'est comme n'importe quelle loi dans le code criminel. Donc, il y a toujours des preuves, des enquêtes, etc. Ceci dit, on envoie un message très clair et très important à travers le pays. C'est une activité qui fait des dommages, surtout aux jeunes, mais à n'importe qui. Et c'est une activité qui est maintenant interdite dans le code criminel. Et donc, c'est un message, un symbole très important de le peuple qu'on est et le pays qu'on voudrait avoir.
C'est comme n'importe quel crime, mais pas tout à fait. Dans le cas d'un crime, on peut retrouver l'arme du crime, etc. Si votre père vous dit toute votre jeunesse, tu vas aller en enfer, mon petit gars, comment on prouve ça? C'est
comme dans les autres cas. Et comme ils l'ont fait en Ontario, pour des fins non criminelles, évidemment, avec des témoignages, avec les preuves ramassées par des témoins et d'autres. Donc, ce n'est pas rare dans le code criminel d'avoir des telles formes de preuves pour des tels actes.
Est-ce que vous avez dédié des fonds, par exemple, pour faire en sorte que la loi soit respectée ou soit
nous allons voir
la formation des agents frontaliers?
Oui, nous allons travailler, évidemment, avec d'abord nos services frontalières et avec le ministre de la Sécurité publique, aussi avec nos homologues dans les provinces, dans les territoires. Je leur ai écrit le printemps dernier, ils ont démontré une attitude très ouverte à la possibilité de légiférer eux aussi. Il y a déjà 4 provinces qui ont déjà des systèmes en place. Ça va appuyer les 4 provinces. Et j'espère que ça va inspirer les autres provinces à agir. Donc, oui, on va travailler avec les provinces et on va voir. Je sais, on va voir. Pour nous, la compétence fédérale, c'est le code criminel. Ce sont les provinces qui doivent fournir des services en matière de santé. Et on va voir avec eux. On a déjà appuyé d'autres mesures dans la santé mentale, etc., à travers le Canada et dans d'autres secteurs avec les transferts. Et donc, on va surveiller la situation et on va voir.
So is there a message involved in there to doctors and psychologists, psychiatrists, that they're not covered, or is there some cases where their activities, even though they're professional, might be covered or caught into this become a crime?
Well, the payment for their professional activities, that's provincial, but certainly we're sending a message that much of this activity, particularly with respect to minors, but also in some cases, we're telling doctors and professionals that we want to see this act eradicated. I'm not sure I can make that more clear.
Can you clarify, though, what you mean by advertising?
Advertising services for conversion therapy.
Is that for money, or does that mean that if someone puts out a notice saying we're freely, a notice saying it's available here, is that advertising? Or
it will likely be advertising, and we will work to make that clear.
So if you put it on your website, you put it on your website.
We have said in both digital and in traditional.
If it's your own website.
If you are advertising the service, that you provide that service, yes, you will be caught.
If you are trying to change somebody's gender identity, intentionally enforcing it upon another person, then it will be against the law if this legislation
The
passes.
question is just how do you define advertising? If you're an organization doing X, Y, and Z, but by the way, you also do those therapy and you put a mention on your webpage, is that considered advertising? It's just your webpage.
So we know that we know
can
that
be.
conversion therapy is destructive. We know it's harmful. So
There are
therefore, if you are providing it, as per the definition in the legislation, which is now public, if you're providing that, it will be against the law.
Yeah, there are plenty of definitions. Advertising covers adults too. There are plenty of
Therefore, my question,
there are
how do you
plenty
define advertising?
there are plenty of definitions of advertising throughout. We'll make it clear in either the statute or the regulations as need be. But there are plenty of definitions of advertising in the normative structure of Canadian law. Okay, thank you very much. Okay.
So, quick thing about advertising. Advertising could be on social media. When people do private messaging on social media, advertising could be on any social media apps. Advertising can be simply just doing email threads, but advertising is advertising at the end of the day. Thank you.
Thank you. Merci beaucoup. Thank you.